30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Had a little rain earlier today, but it looks good for now. And we welcome all of you into our digs at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Given the fact that football season started, let's get right to our daily Titans update with Terry McCormick, which is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that is absolutely a possibility. So give them a holler at 615-969-4350. Let's say hello to Terry McCormick, Main Street Media. Terry, what's going on at the Titans?
They had their Wednesday practice in preparation for week one against the Saints down in the Super Bowl, George. All the players that were on the roster, on the 53-man roster, were present today for practice, so no injuries, although Harold Landry did go inside and did not take part in the individual work that was open to reporters. Arden Key, who's been out with a calf injury, was back to field and able to do some stuff today, so things looking pretty good from that standpoint, as you would expect in week one.
Terry, this has been obviously a big bugaboo for this team. What do you think is the biggest thing they have done to try to curb the number of injuries?
Well, one of the things that they did kind of throughout training camp was they would go this situation where they would practice for 2 days and then take a day off, not necessarily a day off from work, but a day off from being on the field and doing hitting and things like that, mainly going through walkthroughs and those sort of things, and then go back at it for 2 days and take another third day off. So it's interesting that, of taking this approach of less contact and things like that throughout the preseason, hoping to hold up better throughout the regular season, George. It'll be interesting to see if they continue that pace now that we're ready for the regular season.
Terry, they have really reshuffled this roster. Was it intentional? Was this what they planned after the way the season blew up at the end last year, or did it just sort of happen this way?
Well, I think they knew that it was coming and they sort of had it planned. 24 of the 53 players on this roster were not here last year. That means either they're new to the Titans or they're new to the NFL altogether, being rookies. So there's a lot of new faces, that are on this team and in this locker room that are, now a part of this Titans squad. I think that some of it was by necessity because they knew that they had to get better at some positions. Some of it was, cap casualties like Taylor Lewan, Ben Jones, Zach Cunningham, Robert Woods, Randy Bullock. So it was a little bit of both in arriving at the roster that they have now.
Terry, I'll kind of take it where you want to go in just a second. Cade York, is he cool with being in the background for now?
I think so. I think, obviously he chose coming to the Titans practice squad over an opportunity to rejoin the Browns on their practice squad. So I think he sees a situation where Nick Folk is here at soon to be 39 years old, probably, here for 1 year. Folk's contract is up at the end of the season, and it'll be interesting to see what the Titans do with that once it comes time to talk about that. But York, I think, sees an opportunity here to maybe down the line be this team's kicker, if not right now.
Yeah. Anything you want to leave us with?
George, interesting, that this team goes into this game with 11 rookies. And one of them who might very well end up being in the spotlight is Kearis Jackson, who made this team in part because Kyle Phillips was injured. he's likely to be the punt returner and perhaps the kickoff returner too in this game Sunday down in New Orleans. It'll be interesting to see how much they put on this kid's plate to start the year.
Okay, good report. Appreciate it as always. We'll do it again tomorrow, same time, same place. That's Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. Dial her up at 615-969-4350. Let's start off in Murfreesboro. Say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Wow. What's the deal?
I don't know. I got to take them off, though. What's up, Jorge? How you doing?
Are those reading glasses?
No, they're not reading glasses. They're just something else, but can't wear them.
Yes, I can see that. What's going on in your world?
Nothing much, man. Just trying to fix up this house so I can get it on the market at some point.
Are we moving in a positive direction?
Well, the positive direction is a negative direction to my wallet right now, but it's going to move in a positive direction at some point, hopefully.
I mean, if we need to take up a collection, we'll certainly do that.
That would certainly help. I mean, if I could get maybe a GoFundMe or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Go fund Kelly getting the hell out of Dodge.
Correct.
I like it. Billy, are you prepared to make a contribution?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's such a liar. So phony, Billy. You know you wouldn't make a contribution.
It wouldn't be much, but it would be something.
Oh gosh, have we got to 1,000? Have we got to 1,000 subscribers yet?
We have. It's a big moment.
Yes. Big moment.
Big day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Historic day on the show.
Yeah, and if you'd like to be, 1,001, go to our YouTube, the George Plaster YouTube channel, and subscribe.
There we go.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
Let's
By
do
the
it.
way, one program note before we go any farther. Our show will originate Friday from CPA, Christ Presbyterian Academy. CPA plays host to MBA Friday night, and we're looking forward to a lot of fun with our fourth Football Friday show.
We ready for an update?
George, you hadn't got thrown out of any schools yet?
Not yet, but it's a possibility.
Can we throw Billy out? You think they'd throw Billy out?
That would mean no show.
No, George could handle it.
That's extremely laughable. Billy, you do have an update.
I do. An update specifically on Travis Kelce, and apparently he has a chance to go in week 1 tomorrow night with a bruised knee. So, I mean, he could probably play. It's probably just a situation of, do we want to risk anything further with that? But Chris Jones is another guy. He is hoping for a new deal. He says he could play tomorrow night. So those two guys, two of the more important players on the team are, I might play, but I might not. I mean, who knows?
Well, let me ask Kelly this. Kelly, if you haven't been to training camp at all, I'm assuming when he says I could play tomorrow night, if they got a deal done at the 11th hour, what are we talking? 15, 20 plays max?
Maybe. I mean, you can be gone and you can exercise and you can train all you want to, but there's nothing like getting into a game and the anxiety's up. He's going to be really tired if that's the case because he hadn't had any training camp practice whatsoever. So I'm not saying that he can't do that, but yeah, he'd be good to get you 15 plays if he could. And then, you know what? I know that it's a different game now. It's a different business, but the guys that have been playing in his spot, that's kind of. I'm thinking like, you haven't been here all year, and I've been doing all the work. I'd like to play a little bit. So I understand that he's a big part of that football team, but he hadn't been there. So yeah, he might be able to give you 15 plays.
Well, and good news for Chiefs fans. It looks like he does want to, sign a long-term deal.
Oh, I think he does. I guess deep down, I'm surprised it's gotten this far.
Me too. I really am too.
How
But he's an important part of that team, and he does have leverage. When Travis Kelce comes up for contract negotiations, he's got a lot of leverage. So leverage is the big word in negotiating contracts. Y'all know that, and he's got it.
Kelly, how often do those seep into the season, right? The training camp holdouts. I mean, most guys in your experience, they all are, first game I'm back, or does it?
Yeah, it's like it's like the 11th hour that George just talked about. They all talk about this, and y'all know my deal with, hey, I'm trying to miss training camp, but once the games start and once you start missing checks, they're going to try to sign that contract. They're going to get something. So you don't see many guys sitting out long. At least I didn't. Nowadays it's different. Some guys will sit out and they just they stick their feet in the ground and stick their feet in the sand and not going to move. And but most guys cave in and, hey, I want to play football.
Tomorrow night, Lions host. Oh no, that's in Kansas City. Lions in KC tomorrow night, 7:20 p.m. Central Time. That's tougher for the Lions that it's on the road. If it was in Detroit, I might lean Lions, but having that one in Kansas City is tough. All right. Also, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow received his cleanest bill of health to date today. He's expected to fully participate today in practice, and it's looking like he's going to be able to go. I don't think he'll be 100% though. I mean, surely. He's not 100%, but for the Bengals, I mean, at least he's out there, And,
yeah, I think him being 90%, 85% is better than most guys 100%. So yeah,
you'll take a 90% Burrow.
Kelly,
absolutely.
He was out for a month. Should that do it to be close to 100%?
What was it? I forget what his injury was. What was it? Calf. Oh yeah. I mean, that's a I don't know, George. I mean it. You get those soft tissue injuries and stuff like that. I mean, especially in the hamstring, things like that, that can be a lingering deal. So he could aggravate that real easy again. So, I'm sure he's been in the training room constantly trying to get work on that stuff. So what you just have to see. I mean, guys are different. So they wouldn't let him go if they didn't think he wasn't ready.
And that's a divisional game in Cleveland. So, those divisional games, you got to win those when you get the chance. So the Bengals know how serious that is. Also, Carl Nassib has retired from the NFL. But he said he gave it everything he had. Of course, he became the first openly gay active player in the NFL. He addressed his decision in an Instagram post. I didn't even know. I wasn't even aware of this situation, but apparently he just retired. So I don't know if he was, I don't think he would have been forced out. But that was news across the ticker that I also saw. That tells you the slow news day that we are in.
Slow news day?
Yeah. We've also got approximately 11,000 runners at this year's Mexico City Marathon have been disqualified after being found to have cut the course at some point during the 26.2-mile race, according to Spanish newspaper Marca. The disqualified runners represented more than 1/3 of the 30,000-person field that entered the race. They said that they were disqualified after missing checkpoints that were placed every 5 kilometers. So that's a lot. 11,000.
Guys, that sounds like me when I had to come up here at the middle of summer with Doc Crease and had to run 2 miles around the campus of Middle Tennessee State. I was looking for a way out as well.
Doc didn't do any of the running, though, did he?
No, Doc didn't. No. We had to come up and do 16 110 tests, and then after that, we had a little time off, and then we had to run around the campus. And everybody was trying to find a little shortcut.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, exactly. We just finished 16 110s, Doc. I mean, are we serious with this? I'm going to walk, okay?
What, did you ever say that to him?
Oh, I didn't say that to him, but I was dead last. I know that.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing? Like, who cares? I didn't care about that.
Right.
Sorry.
You didn't run the football. You threw it.
Correct. Just like Tom Moore told me, he's like, there's 65 guys got hurt last year because they're trying to run the football. You got to learn how to protect them, son.
5-step drop, throw it out of bounds.
1, 2, 3, throw that out of bounds.
All right, lastly here, a little bit of golf for you, Kelly. Rory McIlroy said his back will be totally fine for the Ryder Cup. He's still recovering, but it looks like he'll be back fully 100% in time. I didn't realize he's 34 years old. So
he's getting up there.
Rory's getting up there, but he said it's at 90% to 95%. It's not 100% better. He just happened to take care of it a little bit, but it's not preventing him from doing anything he wants to do. So big news there with McIlroy. I mean, he's the guy to watch every year at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for him during the season, but for the Ryder Cup, I'm not. So if he's out, I'm good.
He always gets into it, though. I love how, because he knows all the American guys too, and so he's, he wants to kick their, what.
There's no
really
question.
Cool deal. I've always thought they ought to push it away from college football. Do it in late August, where you don't, because most people Saturday and Sunday are going to football. Friday they'll go Ryder Cup. I wonder how much the audience slips.
I think golf needs to do a little bit more of this too. I mean, this isn't even
Ryder Cup kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you got the waste management. What hole is that, Kelly? Where
I don't know. It's at par 3. I don't know, but have you seen some of the courses? All the courses now are building like stages around certain areas, so they're kind of all going to that. They're seeing that it's a big hit, obviously in the Phoenix Open. So that's a cool deal. And the golfers are like, get it up. We want loud, because I guess that makes them feel like they're playing in a football stadium. Maybe. I don't know.
It is hard to recreate Ryder Cup atmosphere because it's country on country. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard to replicate that.
Whoever came up with it, it's really a cool event.
It is.
It's cool.
Okay, we done?
We're done.
After the break, we're going to meet up with the play-by-play voice of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Stan Cotten's going to join us, and we'll talk about Saturday's game between Wake and Vandy. So stick around. We have plenty more coming. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, Don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Boy, in recent years, they've been playing that song a lot because Wake Forest football has really taken a dramatic rise under Dave Clawson. We're joined by their fine play-by-play voice. Stan Cotten is on the right-hand side of that screen. Stan, how you doing?
Hey, George. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
Thanks for the invite, as always, and look forward to talking a little football here today.
So tell me what life after Sam Hartman is like at Wake.
Well, short sample size right now, just one game, but I think Mitch Griffiths is really kind of the perfect guy. I mean, if you're going to draw this up and lose a guy like Hartman that's been around for 5 years, I think Mitch Griffiths would probably fit the bill. I mean, he's a guy that's, he's played a little bit, but he's been around the program, for 3 years. I mean, it's not like he just walked in the door, last week, and he's grown up around football. His father was his high school coach, and so he learned from an early age, what it was like to really prepare, to play a football game. He was watching film and all those types of things as a young man under his dad's leadership. And so when he got to Winston-Salem under Dave Clawson and offensive coordinator Warren Ruggiero, it wasn't, oh, okay, it takes this to be a successful quarterback. He knew some of those really good habits already, and certainly he has refined those over his time here. So if, and I'll underscore if Wake Forest has any issues, this year, George, I don't think it's going to be because of quarterback. Mitch Griffiths is a guy that, understands, I think, really what Dave Clawson wants of him. Started a year ago when Sam Hartman had to miss the first game against VMI back in 2022 with a blood clot issue, and Mitch came in against VMI, played very well, threw 3 touchdowns, did so last week. Wasn't perfect last week, but who is really on any given? I guess we played on Thursday night last week, but I just think Mitch will be fine. I think the Wake Forest fan base feels really good about him, and they should for a lot of the reasons that I've mentioned.
Under Hartman, they ran, I don't know if you'd call it a play necessarily, but you know where I'm going, this mesh point thing that none of us really had ever seen before. Are they still running it?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see that Saturday against Vandy here in Winston-Salem, no question. It's just it's not all they do, but it's part of what they do, and it's a slow mesh where that, back when you and I were younger, George, and the triple option, those option things happen pretty quickly, right? But this is a real slow read by the quarterback through, and he may pull it and throw it. He may hand it off and push the running back. He may pull it and pitch it. He might pull it and keep it. But the mesh takes an awful long time to develop. So a lot of what Wake Forest will do, the decision will be made by Mitch Griffiths after the snap of the ball. It's post snap. Now, some of it isn't, but a lot of it is. And so, yeah, pretty much what Vandy fans saw last year down in Nashville, they'll see this Saturday in Winston.
Talk to me a little bit about Dave Clawson. We knew him a little bit from his time at the University of Tennessee. He certainly, from the day he has gotten there, where that program is now is light years different Where is it? What is it that he has done that has created all this success?
He and here's a bet you'll win with your buddies, George. Who's got the second longest bowl streak in the ACC behind Clemson? It's Wake Forest. The Deacs have been to 7 consecutive bowl games. That's a school record, and again, right now the second longest in the league. And I think you really have to give the lion's share of the credit to Dave Clawson and what he's built here. I think George, he's the perfect guy at the perfect time at the perfect place. I mean, he's got an academic background. He was a student athlete at Williams College. He's been to other, he's at Richmond as a head coach before he got to Wake. And so I think maybe more than a lot of coaches might be, he understands the kind of player that he's got to recruit to number one, get in school at Wake. Secondly, to stay in school at Wake. And then you got to find the guy that can do both of those things, but also play high quality football. And he's found that the way to do that. He's kind of identified the player that can do all three of those things. So again, I just think it didn't take you very long when you're around Dave Clawson to understand he's the smartest guy in the room. He might, the Deacs might get outplayed on Saturday, whatever. I don't think they'll get outcoached anyway, quite honestly. But I mean, he'll have his team prepared. And, as my buddy, the late Skip Prosser used to say, football's not round. It doesn't bounce straight. So who knows what'll happen on Saturday. But again, I just think Wake will be prepared because of the guy at the top.
Stan, help me if I'm wrong on this, but I think I read yesterday that it was within like a couple hundred seats of a sellout.
Yeah.
And that's a change from years gone by. That's got to be music to everybody's ears.
Yeah, the opener last week on Thursday night against Elon was a sellout. And, I think the fans in Winston-Salem have bought into this, not just the football program, quite honestly, to everything. Baseball had an unbelievable year this past year, spent about half the time as the number one team in the country. Crowds were record. The fans are coming back to the Joel Coliseum to watch basketball. But I just think right now there's a really good mix. John Curry at the top as the athletic director has done a terrific job since he got here, replacing longtime AD Ron Wellman. And so it's just a good mix right now, George, with, the administration, the coaching staff on board, the types of student athletes that are coming to Winston-Salem and Wake Forest. So, again, just good time to be a Deke in 2023.
Yeah, no kidding. Congratulations on that. Kelly, say hello to Stan Cotten.
Stan, how you doing, man?
Hey, Kelly, what's up?
I'm good, man. Hey, George, that's just a run-pass option they're doing. It might be a little slower, but it's a run-pass option. Sometimes they read defensive linemen, sometimes they read linebackers, sometimes they read secondary folks. So that's what he's trying to, when he sticks that ball in there and he slow reads it, he's got one dude that he's looking for, and if he bites, that's hard on linebackers now. So that was some good stuff. And Sam Hartman did a good job.
And let me throw this in too. It can be tough on the offensive linemen too, Stan, and I'm sure you can speak to that. You've got to have some stout offensive linemen to give your quarterback enough time to sit back there.
Yeah, it's a different deal. I mean, if you look back at Coach Clawson's tenure, not only here but Bowling Green, Richmond, Fordham, the places where he was the head coach before he got to Winston-Salem, took about 3 years. It was about that third year. If you look at all of them, it's kind of uncanny how all of a sudden things began to trend upward. That was the case here after a couple of really lean years, but then it started to click. And you're right. It takes a lot of moving parts for this offense to click, with the offensive linemen, the backs, the receivers, all those things. So again, it looks a little unique. It is unique. Probably takes opponents a little bit extra time during practice week to prepare. So we'll see how it all shakes out on Saturday.
So with Sam Hartman obviously going, y'all talked about that earlier, but with him going, he obviously used the transfer portal, and we talked yesterday about Dabo Swinney not wanting to get into the transfer portal. He's like, I'm not going to use that. And then the other night we saw a team that does use a transfer portal. Duke looked like the best Duke team I've ever seen. So what does Coach Clawson think about? I don't know if you can talk about that, but what do you think about the transfer portal? It's going nowhere, but it looks like that teams like a Colorado or Duke or Wake Forest, I mean, you can bring guys in and, it's just totally turning over a roster every year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to go program by program, right? I mean, if you need it, it's there, and there are plenty of examples of folks who have used it to the benefit of their program. I don't think that's the way Dave Clawson wants to build his team here. Obviously, the Deacs have a few of those portal kids coming in, but not a whole lot. I still think Dave Clawson wants to build his program on his high school recruits and a few portal guys on top of that. Dave Clawson has said since day one, he continues to say it, that at Wake Forest, it's kind of a developmental program. I mean, Wake's not going to get 5-star recruits and not a lot of 4-stars either. And so what his staff wants to do is get those 2s and 3s in here, work with them, coach them up, love them hard, have them stay here for 4, 5, 6, who knows these days, 7 years, but have them learn what it means to be a Wake player and fall in love with the town, fall in love with the institution, stay here, get your degree. And if you do that, if you stay around, not only will you be successful, you'll have that Wake Forest degree. And so that's kind of the way I think Dave Clawson wants to build his team here. And so far, so good. The portal deal, who knows what's going to be happening in 5, 6 years, but there are certainly teams without question who are going to, turn that roster over every year. Maybe not as many football teams as basketball teams. Obviously, a lot easier to do it in basketball when you only have to have a handful, not 15 or 20 sometimes.
So Coach Clawson has been there for quite a while, because nowadays you see instant gratification, and some of these coaches take these jobs, and it's just a stepping stone to get to another job. But it seems like Coach Clawson likes Wake Forest. He's had some success there. I mean, I saw where since 2021, y'all have won 20 games. So, he's done really well. This is not, obviously he's been there for a while. He wants to stay there and keep growing this.
Yeah, it's his 10th year here, and as we talked about earlier, he fits. It's a institution where just his background makes him the perfect guy to be here. And Wake's really made a unbelievable commitment, not just to football, but the facilities here in Winston-Salem now are. I've been here pushing 30 years, not quite, and I can remember all the things that Wake Forest didn't have. But I just, the combination now that Dave Clawson can sit down with a young man, his mom and dad, and say, look, here are the kind of facilities you're going to have. You're going to get that Wake degree that I mentioned earlier if you stay around. You're going to play high level football. He's got a pretty good basket of goodies to share. And he's had success. People love him around here. Why would you want to leave? He's making good money. And so for a lot of different reasons, the first 10 years have gone by quickly. We'll see what, how college football changes, how the landscape differs down the road. And, who knows what these coaches are going to be confronting, and if they'll, stay coaching as long as they might have in the old days when they didn't have to face some of this stuff. I don't know. But again, certainly the Wake Forest fans are hoping Dave Clawson's not looking anywhere down the road, that he's just looking right now what he's got, the commitment that the university has made, and that, he's turned that into a lot more wins than losses on the football field here.
Got you. So last week you play Elon. It's hard to kind of tell what's going on. You guys are pretty good, but what's the biggest difference from last year's team to this year's team, you think? Just with one litmus test of Elon, I don't know if you can tell that, but what is the biggest difference offensively, defensively?
Offensively, obviously, it's quarterback. You've got a guy that in a lot of ways will look a whole lot like Sam Hartman, I think, because he runs the same type of offense, a little bit different arm slot for him. Mitch looks a little to me like a second baseman with a ground ball turning that throw to second, kind of a little 3-quarter arm slot there. He's not your traditional over the top type of guy, more like Sam Hartman was, but just a different leader, a different voice. I almost said in the huddle. The Deeks don't really huddle, but up and down the sideline and all those types of things. A different leader in the locker room. Wake's really deep at receiver like they were a year ago. If Wake really needs to establish a running game a little bit, I know Vanderbilt kind of feels the same way about it being a little more balanced than it has been its first couple of games. Wake would certainly like to be more balanced than it was last week. I think defensively, Wake's better than a year ago. They've got a great safety room. They got a lot of players that can play in the secondary. They got a lot of linebackers that can play good football. So their team speed's a little better on that side of the ball. Not as deep across that front as they have been. Their talent's pretty good, but they need to stay healthy there if they can. Special teams looked really good last week, both punting and kicking off even. And also in the return game. So I don't think there are any really glaring differences over a year ago, other than Wake's probably a little better on defense and not quite as balanced as they want to be on offense.
Gotcha. So my last thing, what do you think the keys to the game will be this weekend against Vanderbilt? I mean, we got 2 undefeated teams coming in. I know it's early in the season, but it's a big game for both teams.
Yeah, it is. Wake really has looked. Maybe not Coach Clausen so much, at least not publicly, at the first 4 games. Like, golly, if you want to go back to a bowl game, got to put some of that hay in the barn the first month and a half. But I really think on Saturday, I think the team that's able to establish a better run game than it has in Wake's first game and in Vandy's case the first 2 weeks, the team that can maybe establish a running game will have a really good chance and maybe – being there at the end, having a really good chance to win the game. It's probably not that simple, but I think both teams can throw the ball. Again, I think Wake, the secondary's better, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. So I think, the Deeks had a couple of picks last week. I know Vandy's had some takeaways as well. So, if all of those things are equal, maybe it's that running game that could tilt the scales this week. I don't know.
Stan, really appreciate your taking the time to do this. 30 years. Wow.
Not quite, almost, but it's a while. They haven't kicked me out yet, so I'll hang around some more.
Hey, it was good to have you on. Appreciate you doing this.
You bet, George. Thank you, guys.
Stan Cotten is the play-by-play voice of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. A University of Tennessee grad, got to know him when he was in Knoxville, and he has gone on to some great things in the play-by-play world. We'll go to the break, and then we'll talk a little college football to wrap up the 2 o'clock hour. Please stick around. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, we got a busy, I guess if you want to call it week number 2 of the college football season. For some, it'll be week number 3. But Kelly, the one that's going to get all the eyeballs is down in Tuscaloosa, where Texas goes to Alabama. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think Texas wins this game, because I don't. I think Texas has been overrated for a good while. Yeah, they won a national title under Mac Brown, but that's now been 17 years ago. And I came away really impressed with Alabama Saturday against Middle. It looked to me like they've done a reload.
George, it feels like to me, just from what I'm hearing and what you see on TV the other day, it seems like that, and I said it the other day, that Nick Saban is going to go back to what he knows. He's had some guys with Tua, with Bryce Young, with the guys that have been there, with Jalen Hurts and all. They've thrown the ball around. Last year they threw the ball around a bunch, and I think they relied on Bryce Young too much, and they couldn't protect him. And I don't think if he was there, I think if he was not there last year, they wouldn't have won as many games as they did. But I just feel like he's going back to being a more balanced attack, of run heavy, of controlling the ball and playing really good defense. And I kind of think, seems to me like he's been able to get away from that a little bit with the guys that he had behind center, and defensively it's kind of lacked a little bit. But the other night, it looked like he's getting back to his roots, and he's getting back to what he can do, and he wants to control the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how Jalen Milroe plays, because he was playing Middle last week, my alma mater. I hate saying that, but it's going to be different. There's different athletes that's going to be on the field this week, and they went down there last year, and Texas had an opportunity to beat them, and probably should have beat them if it wasn't for the heroics of Bryce Young towards the end of the game. And it's just going to be interesting to see. They've got a good quarterback, Quinn Ewers. He was kind of banged up a little bit last year. I think he got hurt in the Alabama game, if I'm not mistaken, and then another guy had to come in. But he's a year older. He's going to have some experience. I'm just looking forward to seeing how Jalen Milroe plays, because everybody was talking about how good he played. And then you hear Coach Saban, let's pump the brakes on that. But I just think that they're going to have a more rounded team, a more together team, a more run-oriented team, a more ball control team, and play really good, sound defense. And we'll see what happens this weekend. It's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, no Bijan Robinson anymore for Texas.
Correct.
And it's funny. I was about to say he ran wild against Alabama last year, but he really didn't. Alabama held him intact. He ran for 57 yards on 21 carries. So it really wasn't the running game for Texas that had them in that game. It was the passing game with Quinn Ewers, and then he got hurt. And, who was the second guy that came in for Texas?
I forget. He actually got hurt too. He hurt his ankle. He had an ankle problem, and he couldn't throw the ball by the end of the game. I forget the guy's name. He transferred
Card?
somewhere.
Was it
Hudson
Card?
Yes.
Hudson Card is now at Purdue.
Yes, he transferred. Yes.
Yeah, and he got in and played pretty well. But Alabama's secondary, I'm watching them. I mean, they were awful at times last year. Tennessee, Texas, LSU a little bit there with Daniels. So how much better have they gotten? Because if they're the same, Texas got another shot because Ewers is, if he stays healthy, that they've got another shot to go down there. Now it's in Tuscaloosa, so that's a different element.
Do you all think there's also a little bit of a Texas thinks that they're going to come in and control this league and blah, 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 and we're not letting that happen? Is some of that attitude out there?
I don't know, Joe. I don't think you can, but I said it yesterday with Tony. I mean, they got them. We know that we all make fun of the motto. It just means more. But a couple of their top teams got trashed this past weekend. You know what I'm saying? So, and the ACC kind of tore them up. So I don't know. Everybody in the South loves the SEC. It's not like they love and some team, but a lot of people love Ohio State. And they can't stand Michigan. But, everybody down here is like, if it's an SEC, even Darius Rucker said it the other day. He's like, SEC, I'm going with South Carolina. SEC, I'm going with LSU. It's like, and I just don't know if that goes. The top tier teams of the SEC are really good, but then you got all the other ones. So I don't think Texas, Texas is going to come in and win. I don't know if they're going to manhandle things like Oklahoma and Texas have done in the Big 12. I just don't think that's going to happen. And I think you said it a couple of weeks ago, they're going to probably have to be happy with 8-4 sometimes because they're going to go up against some really good teams. And it happens week in and week out. Once you get the cannon fodder over at the beginning of the year, I mean, you're going to have some tough games. So I don't think they're thinking that, George.
Y'all remember when we had Mac Hereford on, former Alabama receiver?
Sure.
At Media Days, and he was talking about how, Nick Saban isn't much for motivation, tactics, but the staff is. And, there's all kinds of staff members that'll pull up a tweet or pull up a video on the projector. I'll guarantee you that there are staff members that are pulling up Texas and saying they think they're going to come in here and dethrone us. They're feeding that to their players this week. Now, whether Saban's doing it or not, I doubt it. But Saban is smart about that, and it was interesting how Hereford talked about that. How he'll find anything. You talk about the rat poison. There's a lot at stake in both these teams. For Texas, you can not dethrone Alabama, but you can get a huge win under your belt before you get into the SEC. And then for Alabama, I mean, you can start your revenge tour, I guess, like a lot of people are saying after last year, even though they didn't even lose to Texas. A lot of people acted like they lost to Texas, but there's a lot at stake. I'm fired up for this game.
Hey, let me jump in real quickly. San Francisco 49ers have now signed Nick Bosa, and he has become the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. 5 years, $170 million with $122.5 of it guaranteed.
That's just what we talked about, Billy. I mean, these guys, hey, they go right up to the end, but then they want to play, and the team knows that if Nick Bosa is not on the team by the first game, we don't have a good a team as we had last year, brother. I mean, he's kind of the central piece in that thing that can rush the pace. He's really dominant. So everybody talks all this trash about holding out and doing all this, and we're not going to pay him. Okay, well, we'll see.
Well, the happiest person about that news is in Kansas City.
Oh,
Chris
yeah,
Jones.
Absolutely. Chris Jones.
Absolutely.
That means something big is coming for Chris Jones.
You would think it does. I mean, because all of a sudden now Bosa has set a number.
Set the market.
Yeah, but Bosa's a defensive end now, guys.
Right.
Chris Jones is a defensive tackle, so it's a little bit different. I mean, he's probably not going to get that kind of money, but he's still probably going to be the highest paid defensive tackle in the league. You know?
I mean, it's every other week we get this highest paid tight end, highest paid defense. I mean, is there a cap to any of this? I mean, is this ever how much
salary cap?
How much money do they? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, when y'all go to the Titans games and y'all have to pay $10 or $15 for a beer, you know where it's coming from.
It's going to.
So, Kelly, go back on Milroe for a minute.
Yeah,
because it is hard to tell off of what we saw Saturday. But you played this position. You know a lot more than I do. What did you like? What concerned you about him?
I didn't see much of it, George. I watched the replay because I was obviously down in Troy. I didn't see much of it. I saw a few plays. It just, it's just like what we're talking about with Malik Willis. I mean, he's got another year under his belt. He got to play in the Texas A&M game last year. He's seeing things a little bit better. That just comes with a little bit more of age, George. And I think he's kind of settled down a little bit, and he's able to read things a little bit differently, let things play out before he takes off running. Last year, he was probably wide-eyed in that Texas A&M game where if something wasn't open, he's just going to take off running. Well, now he's got a little experience under his belt. He's going to stay in the pocket a little bit more and kind of, wait for his receivers to win. And then when the opportunity presents itself, it looked like, hey, then I can run. But they're going to have some, some zone reads for him where he can pull that thing or he can give it. I mean, that's the scary thing about him. And then, what do you do on busted plays? I've talked about this over and over. Like, that's what makes the great quarterbacks and the good quarterbacks different. Like when a play breaks down, when you can't go back 3 steps, hitch, and throw the ball to a curl route, when something is messed up and you have to move around and you have to hold the ball for a second, do you make the right decisions? And I don't know if he's there yet. So we'll just have to see, because he's going to play a different team. And Billy said it earlier, but the big thing in that game last year was Alabama's offensive line could not block the defensive line of Texas. So that's where that game, unfolded last year, and that's why Texas was in the game. So we'll just have to see. I think their O-line is better. From what I'm hearing, they got some dogs back on the offensive line. They're really big. And they got the kid from Iowa who, I think he's 6'7", 330 or something like that.
Monster.
So they got some big dudes on the O-line. So it's going to be, it all starts up front. We know that, George. But it's going to be interesting to see just how Milroe, does when the play breaks down. Can he make the right decisions, and can he not put, Alabama's defense in bad situations?
That one, by the way, is at 6 o'clock on ESPN. The Vandy Wake game is at 10 o'clock in the morning, Nashville time.
Hello.
ACC Network. Get up early.
Okay. Yeah. That's going to be a good one, too. I'm looking forward to that one.
Talked to Clark today. He said that's a record earliest start time for him on a Saturday, at least Central time. But in North Carolina,
I bet players like it that way, though.
Yeah. Well, they're a morning practice team, so they're kind of wired, to get up. So he thinks they'll be fine. But George, real quick here, most watched games from week 1. Which one do y'all think was the most watched?
TCU Colorado.
No.
TCU Colorado. No.
FSU LSU.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Probably Kelly, because it was at 11 in the morning. I mean, if Fox knew what they know now, that would have been 2:30 in the afternoon.
Well, but that's the thing about that big noon kickoff. They're locked into that. NBC has that night slot.
Right.
Fox, that's their big game of the week, so they can't push that back. I think it kind of holds them back a little bit for a certain amount of these games. Nebraska, Colorado, that's the big noon again, and that's probably going to be one of the biggest games of the week.
What kind of number did LSU Florida State get?
9.17 million, and then Colorado TCU got 7.3, and then Ohio State Indiana third at 4.7, West Virginia Penn State fourth. So, but yeah, I was interested to see FSU LSU up there over Colorado.
Interesting. Okay, we'll go to the break. Stat of the day. Then Danny Evans will join us And we'll talk about a National League MVP race that's got 4 people in it that deserve to win it, and only one's going to get it. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yelly cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
Top of the hour on a Wednesday. It's time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what we got cooked up today. And Matthew has done a good job with Stats of the Day. Unfortunately for Danny, I know Danny wanted baseball. We're going tennis. So maybe Danny favors tennis a little bit more than football. We'll see. We'll see about this. Tuesday, Novak Djokovic advanced to his 47th major semifinal, which is the most in men's tennis history. What player did he pass after getting his 47th major semifinal?
Kelly, would it be Sampras?
I don't. Yeah, I'm thinking Roger Federer. I don't. Sampras, Pete Sampras, maybe.
Sampras, Federer.
Are those
Rafael
the only?
Nadal? I mean,
yeah, I don't think Nadal is quite at that point. And going back, you think Rod Laver, but I don't think Laver. I could be wrong, but I don't think Laver got to that many. Go ahead and show us what you got.
Roger Federer.
Oh, tally-ho.
Oh, tally. Roger Federer.
Boy, I tell you one thing.
He's one of the more dominant athletes.
Dude, he's good. He was good, man. He was really good.
Like,
of course,
I remember,
Novak's really good, too.
Like, I remember even when I was little, it was just him every year, every tournament.
Yeah. The word
crazy, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Novak's
Good
right there,
question.
though, now.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, we've reached the 3 o'clock hour. Let's say hello to the man who knows as much baseball as any human being on the face of the earth. He is Danny Evans. Danny, how are you?
I'm good. And George, I had that answer. I'm a big Roger Federer fan.
Are you a big tennis fan?
Yeah, I love it. I just love it. I didn't play it very well, but boy, do I love watching the great ones play.
Did you watch that? Did you watch the match last night, Danny, with the kid that took on TFO or whatever? I don't even know how you say his name, but man, he was good.
I saw highlights, Kelly. I've been very lucky. I've seen a couple U.S. Open matches in person with my travels, and I've seen all the really great ones play in person because I just enjoy going to. I mean, I love watching great players play, and it's a sport that I'm ambidextrous and I'm poor with both hands in tennis. So it's like, no matter, people used to laugh at me and say, why don't you stick to one side? And it was like, there's really not one side to stick with.
Doesn't work that way.
What's that atmosphere like at a tennis? I've never been to one of those, especially at a professional level.
It's incredible. The U.S. Open in New York, one of the great experiences. It's just an event. They really do it up big time. The venue is amazing. Arthur Ashe Stadium is incredible. And I went multiple times over the course of my lifetime. I saw Billie Jean King. I saw Navratilova.
Oh, wow.
I saw Connors. I saw a lot of really good players.
Billie Jean King and Margaret Court played in the Virginia Slims tournament here back in the early 70s. Not a lot of people remember it. Kelly, I was there.
Wow, George, that's unbelievable.
How about that? Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Danny, is it U.S. Open, the whole complex, what's across the street from Shea is across the street from Citi Field where the Mets play?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I love New York, George. So a lot of times I would just stick around a day, or I'd go, scout and sneak a game in. I know once we were in New York for a series, and I got to see 2 nights because there were 2 day games, and the night experience is amazing. And I just, I'm not going to say I'm a expert in the sport, but I love watching the great ones play, and whether they're females or males, I just love to see the sport played at a high level.
No, it's being played at a high level right now. Anybody?
Sure is.
I don't
George,
know all players, but man, there's some talent.
If I could have a little fun, George, there's a tennis player, Dan Evans, who people frequently tag me on Twitter thinking I'm him. So when he had a big match earlier in the week, people were scolding me on some things and then praising me on some other stuff. So I finally responded to one broadcaster and said, candidly, once he found out he could go to my backhand, it was all over. And it was really fun because a lot of people, thought it was legit. And I'm like, folks, if you saw me play, you'd know I wasn't in the quarters. Don't worry about it.
Oh, wow. That's good stuff. So I teased this, Danny, at the beginning. We've got a National League MVP race like I have never seen before. We've got 4 people that truly have had MVP years, and they're all kind of intertwined a little bit. Acuna, Nashvillian Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Matt Olson, who's got to be looking up going, has anybody noticed that I've got like 44 homers and 20 more RBIs than anybody else, and nobody puts him higher than 3rd?
George, the guy might go 51-30 and not get a medal. I mean, that's pretty amazing. But I think what it shows you is the quality of the 2 top teams in the National League, that they have the 4 best players in the league this year. Acuna's had an amazing season. He's going to have the first 30-60 or maybe 30-70 year ever on a team that's been elite from day one. Betts has been extraordinary. has had a great second half, has played short and second base and hasn't missed a beat, and has had the best second half of all of them. Olson's been amazing. He's been a silent assassin all year. I looked for that trade from a couple years ago, and that trade really solidified the Braves for years to come. And then Freddie Freeman just continues on his Hall of Fame career. He's probably going to set a National League or a big league record for most doubles in a season, probably win the triple slash. He's going to win the batting title. And, all four of them, George, you can make a case for any of them, and it's a good argument. I think this is just, what do you prefer, almost like a baseball buffet.
Yeah, when you use the words most valuable player, for you, if I handed you a ballot and said, okay, you're going to be this year one of the people that votes on it, what is the quality that for you determines most valuable?
Wow, good question. Well, I'd look at WAR because I think WAR is important. That's clearly the leader in that case. I look at their contribution to their team in a lot of the little ways. Acuna has been a bold first inning guy for the Braves, has been an absolute igniter of their offense. But George, I also look to, your contribution to a good team. See, in the American League, I would take Ohtani because he's just been unbelievable. And he's having one of the 6 greatest seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. His two-way exploits are just amazing. But in this case, I look at what Betts has done, going to second and short because of the injuries in the Dodger lineup. And he's actually been darn good at both positions and has continued to mash. So I think those things factor in. Hard for me to pick a guy on a team that doesn't win, George, because, the most valuable player in my interpretation is a guy whom, without that player, that team would not have had as good a season as they've enjoyed.
So go back to Betts for a minute.
Yeah.
Because it amazes me the move that he has made from right field. Danny, you don't ever get the feeling, and I watch him a lot.
Yeah.
You just don't ever get the feeling that it bothers him at all.
George, that's a great point. And it's not like he's taking balls in the infield every day because, you're taking some balls in BP, but he's got a lot going on to prepare for the game. George, I don't think there's a harder position except catcher to play than the middle infield in the big leagues. And to go from right field to second base or shortstop, and he's played over 30 games in the middle infield. It's close to 40. And he's played them, as you said, really well. I mean, he's tick above average in both. And George, I've seen him made some plays that, the really good ones sometimes don't make. This guy's a special guy. I know he's a Nashvilleian, but I tell you what, he's great on the field. He's great off the field. But George, what he's doing this year is absolutely ridiculous. To go in and be a defensive contributor in the most important spots in fair territory is just remarkable. And George, you know this. Most guys, their offense would struggle because they're struggling with the transition. He's never missed a beat. This guy is one of the best 5 players in the game today.
I mean, you look at his August numbers. Holy cow.
Oh, unbelievable. Dominant numbers. And George, that's what's made that club so elite in August, in July for that matter. He and Freeman are scalding hot. They've had OPSs over 1,000 during those 2 months. What do? You gotta pitch to them because the rest of their lineup is good too.
So would you ever, if you were a voter every year, would you ever vote a pitcher most valuable player?
Absolutely, I would. Reliever or starter. I think there's times where a guy is just the dominant guy. He's the guy who just makes such an exceptional difference on his team. He's so much better than the rest of the group. And sometimes a reliever can be that guy. I remember Gagne with our Dodger team. It was game over. I mean, we played 24 out ball games because we knew he saved 85 games in a row. And we knew we get to the ninth inning, we're done. I think elite closers and elite starters, heck yeah, I'm all in. I think the most valuable player award is not an offensive only situation. And I know that I've got people who disagree with me on that, but this is one of those things that are very subjective in the game. And I think it's one of the things that make the awards so spectacular because people have different reasons for different guys.
Give me a thought or two before we go to the break. Why did Ohtani's agent come out and talk a few days ago?
Because he's Ohtani's agent. He's doing his job, George. Ohtani's English is just okay. And I think for Nez Bolello to go out and get behind him the way they did, clarify some things. From the club's perspective, you don't want to speak too much about the player's future because of free agency. You don't want to tip off what you know. You don't want to foam the runway for the other 29 teams. And I think in Bolello's case, the agent has the player's best interest in mind. He went out and just tried to, quell some of the fears. I think give some feedback. And I think it's better coming from him than through Ipe, his interpreter, because Nez will be doing the negotiations in the offseason.
Well, let me try it a different way because it was very interesting to me at one point. Perry Managian, the GM of the Angels, came out. I guess they were catching some criticism that they had not done the imaging, ahead of time as far as the injury. And he came out and said, hey, we offered, they didn't want to do it. Is there some friction there about how to handle his injuries?
Who knows, George? Only they know inside. But I'll tell you what, unless a player complains to a trainer, to the medical staff, it's not like you just do rogue routine MRIs or, dye treatments. So if the player complains, well, then you bring it to the attention of the medical team and they start working on it. But George, in most cases, if it's not broken, you don't try to fix it. And, he was probably pitching through some issues. Who knows what was going on? I'll tell you, I know this guy so well. He's so resilient. He'll pitch through things, and that's partially his culture, but it's also his character.
God, you look around right now, Danny, at Acuna, Ohtani, De La Cruz in Cincinnati, Betts. I mean, we have got some stars of stars, some up and coming, some who are already there. I don't know if this is accurate that we're seeing an influx that's even better than normal, but man, it feels like it.
Yeah, it does. Julio Rodriguez.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I think of Adley Rushman. I think of Gunnar Henderson. And George, what's fun about, what's great for me about each of them? They have flair. They have emotion. They have enthusiasm. I mean, George, I'm like you. I mean, Kathy laughs at me because I'll stay up till 1 a.m. for a close game sometimes. And I watch the players. I don't really watch the teams as much anymore. And I love to be entertained. I mean, they are the Bruce Springsteens of baseball for me. And, what I love is this influx of athletic emotion player. And, like De La Cruz, I could watch him play every single game.
Ditto.
He does something every game that I go, wow. And it's not that I don't like the veteran guys, because I love the veterans, but the guys like that, they do something just about every game that you go, whoa, I didn't think he was capable of doing that. But then again, when Clayton Kershaw pitches, I watch Clayton Kershaw pitch. So I just think we're being entertained, George, by an elite group of impact players that we've never seen the likes of which ever, maybe in the late 50s, early 60s, with Robinson, Mays, Aaron, Clemente, the great players of that generation, Mantle. But I know in my career, I've never seen a group like I've seen in 2023.
Agreed. Kelly, you're in the on deck circle. We'll take a break and we'll be back. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
We are back talking a little Major League Baseball with Danny Evans. Kelly, where are you going with it?
I don't know, man. He kind of answered my question. I was going to ask him, and he kept on expanding about it with, which this is the best. Is this the best era of baseball, you think, Danny? Or I know you brought up the 50s and 60s, but I was going to ask you, I mean, we've got so many good players right now. And you said it the other day. I mean, is this the best baseball's had so far?
I'll tell you, that's a super question, Kelly. I just finished a great book by Joe Posnanski. Came out yesterday. It's called Why We Love Baseball. And he kind of goes into that a little bit about what era, what period. And I'll tell you what, I'm sitting the other day, sitting on my porch, just thinking about all the guys that are running around in pajamas on baseball fields and how much fun I'm having watching this year's group. And I really drilled down and I kept thinking, when was the last time there were this many guys who were worth watching? And I'm Kelly, I mean, entertaining. I mean, the game is entertainment. This isn't life or death, as a doctor friend of mine always says. It's literally entertaining. And there are so many guys in today's game that are worth picking out at bats and following them. MLB.com does a great job where you can isolate on players and watch their highlights the next day. I'm up to 14 guys. So every morning I get up, I sit with my dog and I watch the guys that I didn't see the night before. And I'm getting a kick out of it. And then you get more and more guys coming up in the last couple of months that, Kelly, are those kind of guys. So, to fully answer your question, I think this is a special era. And I think what's really fun about it is, for years, guys were asked to tone down their emotions and, be real stoic. And, the old line, well, act like you've done it before. Well, I never liked it because I like being entertained. I like singers that are great, and I like athletes that are fun. And I think the guys that we've mentioned on this show today, none of them are boring. Every one of them have energy, personality. They get social media. I think what we're seeing is a bit of a coming of age of baseball with guys that just get that they're entertainers and go out and entertain.
I'm going to piggyback on one of our listeners we're talking about, and you guys talked about Olsen and Cruz and Freeman and Betts, and you just brought him up. And he hadn't played the whole year. He got brought up. But, has there been anybody more influential to their team than Ellie De La Cruz in Cincinnati?
Well, I mean, first of all, he's a blast to watch.
Yeah.
When you can throw 99 miles an hour across the diamond, I can watch you any day of the week. He's got speed, a switch hitter with power. But Kelly, I know we talked about him a couple months ago. We were talking about Rookie of the Year. This guy came up, they were just okay. And since he's come up, they're playing 600 baseball. Now, he's cooled off a little bit, but everybody does after they go around the league once and everybody starts to figure out a way. But this is a team that if the season ended right now, they're in the postseason. And no way you make that prediction 4 months ago. But he had a significant impact on his club on both sides of the ball. But Kelly, for me, he's entertaining as heck. He does something every night that you just go, wow. And I think it's going to be fun watching him grow up right in front of us. He's 21 years old. He's just going to get better, stronger. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this young man play.
Yeah, doesn't that signal MVP though? I mean, I know he's not going to get it, but I mean, he's I understand that, but what does that signal?
Yeah, you know what, Kelly? It's a great question. You get 10 votes if you're a voter. And since George already threw that ballot at me, and George, thank you so much. I'll respect that judgment from you. He would absolutely get one of my 10 votes. He would not get one of the first 4 because the first 4 have been so impactful with just hellacious seasons. But he would absolutely get somewhere 5 through 10. And that alone, for me, you take a look at the kid playing the outfield for Arizona. I mean, Carroll is a stud. Carroll's a great player. Yeah. And he's been so impactful. You could point to the Cubs starter who, for me, he wasn't even on the club at the beginning of the season, and he's got 13, 14 wins. So, there's so many guys this year who have come up and not just been good, but unexpectedly great. And Kelly, you played at the highest level. That's not easy to do. And it's really not easy to do it at the onset of your career. So few guys do it. And when they do, we talk about them like Arenado, like Trout, like Harper, like Kershaw. That's royalty. Those are future Hall of Famers.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That is hard to do. So let's talk up the your boys Braves a little bit. So, George was he was all worried. They go out to LA. LA probably the hottest team in baseball, and they take 3 or 4 from them. And then they were in it at the last game. They had a chance with Acuna coming up and flying out. But does that kind of stick in the minds of the LA Dodgers when, they more than likely play in the postseason at some point? Never know what's going to happen, but does that sit in the back of those Dodgers' minds when they have to play the Atlanta Braves again?
Yes, and absolutely, because it came at Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. You get beat 3 out of 4 at home in front of 55,000 a game, and you come in, like you said, scorching hot. Their August was unbelievable. I think they were 24-5 in August, and George was concerned for good reason, because his Braves team, as well as they've been playing, and very quietly, they've been playing just behind the Dodgers since August 1st. So people don't talk about the Braves being hot. The Braves are absolutely on fire. They go in and quieted the crowd every game, beat them 3 out of 4, could have swept them. And, Kelly, one of those two teams for me is going to be in the World Series. I just think they are such elite clubs. But I think, you're going to play a 7-game series against them, and probably for the LCS. And if that's the case, I think it'll motivate the heck out of the Dodgers, but it'll also give the Braves even more confidence. And the best thing about that weekend was Max Fried's utter dominance. He was absolutely filthy. That's as good as I've ever seen him pitch. And when Fried is good, there's their solid 1-2 between Strider and Fried. That is a very hard tandem to beat.
So you talked about Seattle the other day and just how much of a tear they were on. They're only 1 game back. Just talk a little bit about the Mariners and their streak. Can they overtake the Houston Astros?
I think they can. To me, I think they may go to the World Series. I look at them as a team that's gonna really be tough to play in the postseason. Terrific offensive team. Julio Rodriguez has had an amazing second half. Another guy is a blast to watch play, a two-way guy. But Kelly, that division, a month and a half ago, Texas had a 6.5-game lead. And Seattle had a young player named Kelnick get hurt in a fit of anger, breaks a limb, and as a result can't play the rest of the year. And I thought they were done. Since that time, I think they're 30-9. And as a result, Houston and Texas, are right there. They're separated by 2 games in the standings. And now Texas is clinging, literally clinging to their playoff hopes because their bullpen has been so bad. But Kelly, lost in this great Seattle offensive surge, they have 5 homegrown starters in their rotation. And that, to me, is an incredible achievement in today's sport. To develop that well and put that sort of a team on the field, I quietly root for them because I had a great 7-year run there, and I love the city, and I love the people who work there. But that is a fun team to watch. I tell you what, I think they're going to win that division. If they don't, I think it'll be Houston. And I think Texas is in big, big trouble right now.
Wow, that's crazy. So my last thing here, Altuve. That guy's been on a 2-game streak. He's hit 5 home runs. He hit 4 home runs in 4 straight innings, which has never been accomplished. So the guy's kind of an undersized guy. He's not very big, but man, he means something to those Houston Astros.
That little dude can play, and he can hit the fastball, Kelly. I saw him the first time. He was in Lancaster, the California League Class A, and I had a scout sitting next to me talking way too much, and he was ripping on his size. And all I kept thinking is, put him in a package and send him to my team. This kid is a stud. This kid is a superstar. He's tainted for me because of the cheating scandal, because he was one of the leaders in the cheating scandal. But Kelly, he swings the bat. This guy, you cannot throw a fastball by him. He hits fastballs at about a 350 number. He's got a long, big bat, plays a good second base. And I'll tell you, he just shines. He's that guy. Someone asked me the other day, is he a Hall of Famer? Well, what he's done on the field for me, absolutely. He's already got 2,000 hits. He's got a lot of accolades. I struggle getting through the cheating scandal, but what he has accomplished over the course of his career to this point, this guy's one of the great players of his generation.
Wow. Wow. That's big.
Danny,
George,
awesome stuff, as always. Thank you.
George, thank you. And George, we're football crazy up here in the Denver Boulder area as a result of the Buffaloes. There are a whole lot of Buff T-shirts around these parts right now.
Crazy.
What are the tickets going for?
What's that?
What are the tickets going for?
$500 minimum for Saturday's home opener, George. This is a team that was 1-11 last year. They're sold out for the rest of the season. They do a thing called the Stampede in Boulder downtown on Friday night. They're expecting the biggest crowd in the city's history for a Stampede.
Good.
This guy has completely captivated college football, but most importantly, my little region that I live in, they are absolutely bonkers. And George, I watched the whole game, which in itself, I haven't watched a football game in 20 years. I watched every snap.
Danny. Good for you.
And Kelly, I'm coming around. I felt some aches and pains after it, but I think I'll be okay.
Hey, his son can play football now. He can throw the football and he uses his mind unbelievably, dude.
His son's going to be in New York in December.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy. He's going to be an invitee.
Well, and the two-way guy Hunter is an elite player.
Yeah, I was gonna
he
say,
is so exciting.
He might be there with him too.
I can't believe you got me to talk football, guys, but it did happen.
Danny, yes, you're coming around too. Yes.
I'm coming to Port, Kelly. It's happening.
Part 2 next week. See you, Danny.
See
Have a good one. Bye, guys.
Plaster bet of the day includes 2 first ballot Hall of Fame pitchers. That doesn't happen very often. It will happen tonight.
How about that?
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser engraved Yelly cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Final segment on a Wednesday. Huge baseball matchup tonight. I mean, historic pitching matchup. We'll see where George goes there. But first, a few words on Bart Durham, best in the business. You can find them at 615-242-9000 or on the web at bartdurham.com. All right, let's figure out what happened last night. And George got another win. Kelly, I don't know. What are you working with? Some juju here, George? I mean, 32-17.
You know what?
I'm sick of this guy.
I'm with Kelly. This is not going to last. But it's fun while it does. We've got a matchup tonight that's pretty historic. And it's certainly not the first time this has ever happened. But 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers will pitch against each other tonight. Justin Verlander for the Astros, Max Scherzer for the Rangers. They were teammates until a month and a half ago when the Mets had their little fire sale. I don't know what's gotten into the Astros. They're pissed off that the Yankees swept them. They have gone to Texas and just absolutely obliterated. And I'm going to stay with them. Don't know why, but they seem to be hot. They're scoring a bunch of runs. I'm taking the Astros. Tomorrow, underdog picks. Be there. Aloha.
If Poggy can get on.
Well, Poggy can't be in Smyrna where he lives, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
Tell him to get another phone other than a Cricket.
Behave until tomorrow.
See y'all. George must have an interview. He got an interview to do, Billy. He's trying to get us off.
He's got somewhere to be, I guess.
Billy, you behave as well. I will now try to hit them straight. Yeah.
I knew you had.
In other words, people on the street better start ducking.
Hey, this guy's texting me during the Danny Evans. We need to be off by 32, so he's got somewhere to go.
Administrative decision here. See you tomorrow.
See ya.